Let's give it a shot. I'll stand with
You guys, how we doing? We spent the day working through a number of issues. We've spent the past few days working through a number of issues. We continue to make progress. We're obviously not there yet, but we've made good progress.
When you resume, Governor?
There are a number of issues, in a situation like this, that basically many issues are interconnected. So you solve one, cause an issue somewhere else. But we continue to work through the issues. The teams will be working all through the weekend on the issues. As I've said to you a number of times, I believe at the end of the day, the people of the state of New York are going to get a very, very good budget, better budget than they've had in a long time, a budget that sets a new trajectory for this state, a budget that really reforms the state's finances, and charts a new course. Whether that budget is done through the traditional means, whether it's on time, these to me are questions of the means as opposed to the end, and I'm focused on the end. Many of you followed me in the campaign, covered me in the campaign. I spoke about this issue 900 times in the campaign. You never once heard me say, I will deliver an on-time budget for the state. You never heard me say, I will work with the Assembly and the Senate to get a budget done through the normal budget process. I said, I'm going to get this state the budget it needs. I'm going to bring the reforms that the state needs, and that is true.
Have you agreed to a dollar figure amount on school aid restoration?
Until you agree, until you have a total agreement, you have no agreement. That's how this works. And we don't have an agreement. One thing I've learned, as I've said to you, in Albany, the process in this town is people are very good at talking about agreements, making progress towards agreements, and they're very good at tiptoeing along the goal line with never stepping over. I've seen football players who didn't have the same skill set. So either you have an agreement or you don't, Nancy, and we don't have an agreement.
Are you frustrated?
Are you frustrated that you are identical, that you're in virtual agreement?
We're identical?
The plans are identical.
Like twins? We've made good progress all along. And we've made good progress all around. And I don't mean to be cynical about the process, but I've been through this enough to know the question is not how close you get. The question is, have you completed? Have you closed? Do you have an agreement? And if you don't have an agreement, then basically you have nothing. Good progress? Yes, no doubt. Good progress with the Speaker, good progress on the Senate side, but we don't have an agreement.
Well, thanks, everybody. Why a separate meeting? One after the other.
Yes, we have all different types of conversations. Sometimes there are conversations that are best doing it together, sometimes best alone. Some issues are particular to one person or another. Not everyone is concerned with everything. Some people want to complain about Mike Gorman and his coverage, and that was particular to one side.
Thank you, Governor. Thanks, Governor. Governor,
This is not those kids just who can complain.
Governor, Buffalo, New York wants to know, is your agenda in the public interest or the interest of the special interest that supported the campaign?
Public interest. I represent the people of the state of New York.
Thank you.
What the Speaker said was right. Everything is part of the conversation. These are fluid situations, and everything is part of the conversation until you have an agreement, and we don't have an agreement.
Governor, how far apart are you on prison closures right now? What are some of the sticking points there and getting through that?
Closing of prisons is the sticking point. That is that.
There's some talk about protecting some of those jobs. There's some talk about protecting some of those jobs, moving some of those guards around.
You can't protect. Look, if you protected all of the jobs, then you wouldn't be getting the savings that the state is looking for, right? The prison closings are doing two things. Number one, you have an excess capacity of prison cells. You have 21% decline in the prison population, so you have empty cells. The cells are expensive. We need to save money. Close prisons, close the cells. The state will save operating money. The state saves operating money primarily from the operating budget of DOCS, Department of Correction, and that's primarily payroll. So if you protected all the jobs, you wouldn't have the savings. There's a good policy matter in and of itself, which is just closing the prisons you don't need, I believe. But this is about savings, and you get that from payroll.
That's the main sticking point.
I didn't say it was the main sticking point, no. I was asked, is it a sticking point?
Governor,
Money-wise,
how far apart?
And look, on the closing of the prison cells, just so we're clear, my position is we need the savings, and we're not using the prisons. There's also a very real issue upstate. When you close down prisons, in many communities, these are the economic engine. And when you close down a prison, there may not be a great likelihood of an alternative to the prison. And that is very true, and that is very real, and that's a major factor that's on the table in this conversation also. We have to save money for the state, but do not underestimate, for those of you who are more familiar with downstate, don't underestimate the economic impact closing a prison can have to an upstate community.
Governor, what date would you impose your budget?
If we do not have a budget, which is done, what I said during the campaign, Michael, was nothing if not consistent, try to be. If we don't have a budget done by April 1, then I will submit a budget through the extender mechanism.
That sounds like immediately then.
April 1, April 2nd.
How far apart are you money-wise? Is there like $100 million difference, or?
A relatively significant amount, I would say.
In the building.
Governor, have you
I
started
would
to
just
draw
say
up?
relatively significant.
Have you started to draw up the extender bills in case you need to use them?
We are prepared for every contingency, as I said in my video, and we've been working on this for many months. And I am convinced, whatever path we go down, we are in a position to get the people of this state a better budget than they have had in decades.
For government,
Decades, because I don't want to get into
government.
other comparisons.
By cutting taxes for millionaires, put people first. Put people first.